You might be talking, but is anyone listening? People listen to us if they like us. They buy from us if they trust us. Alan Stevens explains to us the know, like, trust factor. Welcome to Get the Lead podcast, where we speak with business owners that can help you get the lead. Hello, I'm your host, Rose Davidson, for Get the Lead podcast with Alan Stevens is my guest today. And Alan is from the Human Pattern Recognition, and we're going to be talking about you might be talking, but is anyone listening? And that's always a really great topic because often we don't listen as well as we should. And Alan is an international profiling and communications specialist who is regularly featured on national TV, on radio, and in the world's press. And he's profiled people, like leading politicians, TV and sports stars, as well as Britain's royalty. He's been referred to by the UK Guardian as the leading authority on reading people globally, and the mentalist meets Dr. Phil by the Herald. Welcome, Alan, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks very much, Rose. It's a privilege to be here, and you've interviewed me in the past, so I reckon this will be another great chat with you again.
Thank you for saying so. Alan, tell me, how did you get into human profiling or people profiling? Or
It's quite confusing when people look at it and everybody looked at it and went, what is it that you do? And as I said, it's reading people for the purpose of being able to understand them, to know how I need to change the way I like to be spoken to match the way that they need to be spoken to, so that we can create better relationships. And I can help them if there's anything going on in their life, as well as selling products and service to them as well. But
people reading faces is really, really important, especially in business. As you say, you want to be spoken to in a certain way, and the other person may not be listening to the things that you need, and vice versa, you may not be listening to them. So explain to us how this works.
Okay, well, the way it works, and by the way, I got into this role because I wasn't very good at reading people. It became a necessity in my life. I needed to learn. So what I'm going to share with you today, anybody can do. If I learn it, anybody can learn it. But basically what it comes down to is it works for the fact that your facial features tell us your personality. Now, I guarantee people who are listening to this are going, oh, this is a bit woo-woo. It's a bit, clairvoyancy type thing. No, it's a science. If you think about it, if you lift weights, bicep curls, you'll build your biceps up. It's a repetitive movement of the muscles and the strain you put on them. At the same time, everything we feel inside, we express outwardly. So the twitches on our face, the little expressions that we pull over and over again, you're going to work those muscles and you create ridges and crevices on your face that give away how you like to think and process. There's a history there. And then if I know where I am on that scale, like I can see what traits you have, I know how my traits compare to you, I can then change the way I like to be spoken to match the way that you want and need to be spoken to. And so in business, in every area, it's finding the right staff in the first place, giving them the right tasks to do, being able to build your teams, teach your staff how to communicate with each other, but in particular, how to work with the clients as well. Because I think it was, Richard Branson said it, but a whole lot of other people long before, centuries ago, had said it as well, that if you look after the people around you, they'll look after the other people outside of that again. So in other words, you look after your staff and they will then look after your customers because they're the ones who talk to the customers. So if you're able to communicate with them more effectively, then the end result will be that they will then have better understanding, you'll be able to communicate more effectively, they can then communicate with the clients, and you end up making more money. Because you might bring the people in, the customers in, but it's your staff who work with them every day that will keep them there. So your staff are there for the loyalty. Now, I know that you need to analyze things the same as I do. We get all the information before we make a decision. But I guarantee in both our cases, there have been people we've spoken to in the past where everything was flowing beautifully, and then all of a sudden they've switched off. Or they kept on trying to stop us going into detail and move on all the time. And that's because they just wanted the overview, but we didn't recognize that. because we were telling them what we needed to hear ourselves to make a decision, thinking that's what they need. And as they say, you treat others as they would have, as you would have them treat you. That's fine when it comes to respect, but in reality, it's treat others as they would have you treat them. In other words, talk to them in the way they need to be spoken to. Tune your transmitter into their receiver. And so I need to speak their language. If I've got that, then I'm going to have a connection with them. At the same time, though, I've got their body language and the little expressions on their face that tell me, have I read them right? And are they telling the truth? So you're getting an idea now of where you can use this in a business, virtually everywhere. As people say, well, it's easy to tell you where you can't be used. And they say, where's that? And I say, you've got a stick-it note. They give me the stick-it note and I just give it straight back and I go, there you go. That's where you can't use it. Nowhere. You use it everywhere.
Yeah, and it's very important. I know you learn to read faces usually as a child because you want comfort, you want something from your parent or caregiver or whatever. If you're in trouble, by the look on your parent's face or an adult's face that that you are in trouble and you're in for it. But we seem to lose that knack as we grow up, and so reading faces, I guess, becomes blinded to us, and then we don't. We treat, as you're right, we treat people the way we ourselves want to be treated, rather than reversing that situation and treating people the way they want to be treated. So this is where a miscommunication can often happen.
That's it. See, I used to bodybuild. I certainly don't look like it now. As I've gotten older, any muscle you don't work atrophies. It gets weaker because we're not using it. It's the same thing with reading people. As children, we recognize the facial features. You just said we needed to know who was a friend, who was a foe, who we should be around and who we shouldn't be around. Then we needed to pick up their energies, their expressions, their body language to know what's their emotional state. So if it's someone we shouldn't be near and that person's looking pretty angry, get out of there as quickly as you can. That was the warning. That's how we survived. If it was somebody who was close to you, a friend who was angry, you might want to go to them and find out why they're angry and see how you can help them, what's upsetting them. So we needed that, but if we're not working it, as we get older, we started getting into sports, we're going to school, we've got hobbies and all the other things that we're doing. So we're not concentrating on reading people. So we now know who the people are. We're fairly safe. I recognize the face. They've been around me for years. Yes, I can pick up when they're really angry and that, but I don't need to pick up all the little changes like a baby does. So it's just a skill that I have not lost, but just put to the back. And so all I do is in the work I do, I'm nothing more than a personal trainer. I just bring that back, bring you back to build that muscle back up to be able to read people. And so that's the reason why I've been able to come as good as I am today, when I was as bad as I was leading up to this. As I said, it's because of all the things in my past, I had to learn how to do this better. And if I can pick it up, anybody can pick it up.
Yeah, I know. I've watched a number of your videos. I took your face reading course, and I found it to be quite enlightening. The things that the way that someone's hairline is, the way how fast spaced their eyes are, their nose, their mouth, the way they actually hold their mouth, or they smile, all is indicators of people. Whether they can be trusted or what type of personality they might have. And I do encourage people to take Alan's course because it is very helpful if you've forgotten those little niceties or nuances about how to read people's faces. Alan, let me ask you, when you're trying to get a lead into a business or a corporation or a job, how can you use these skills in reading faces to get that lead?
Well, one of the things I do, I use a lot of work on LinkedIn, looking for the right people that I want. Once I find somebody, I'll organise to have a phone call with them. And this is where I've got an advantage over everybody else, or anybody who's got my skill has an advantage over everybody else. If I've got to ring an executive, for instance, I'll ring them up, and just introduce myself, tell them why I'm calling. But I'll say, look, before I get into going right through the reason for the call today, can I ask you a couple of questions? And if they say yes, then I go, well, and I'll be looking at their face on my screen because I have their website, their LinkedIn profile or whatever. And I'll go, and I'll look at one of the traits that is in an extreme in one direction, and I'll talk about that. I'll talk to somebody else, like somebody who's analytical like you and me. Have you ever found the situation where you've been talking to somebody and all of a sudden they've switched off? And they go, yes. And I go, have you found that some people that when you've walked up to them, they haven't really been listening to you, they seem to be uncomfortable? And they go, yes, I've had that as well. And I'll go through a couple of traits like that and I'll go, yeah, where are you getting this from? I'll just say, yeah, I thought so. I reckon that was the case. I said, where are you getting that from? I said, oh, your face. And they go, hang on, we're on the phone. Oh, sorry, I've got your LinkedIn profile here. You're getting that from my photograph? And I go, yes. And if I can get that from your photograph, if you had these skills and with your staff, do you reckon you would understand them better? You'd be able to build stronger loyalty and know when they're telling you the truth, etc. And they go, well, that'd be fantastic. And so do you think your salespeople would be able to value add to the client, would understand when the client was ready to buy, that they would get more conversions? And they go, yes. And I go, okay, when do we get together? So there's a cold call done. There's no other business that I know of that you can do that with.
Yeah, I find, so what I find really intriguing is every time I speak with you, I'm always looking at my face to make sure that I've got the right expressions. So what's he thinking of what I'm thinking?
Yeah, well, the thing to remember is that your facial features tell me your personality, not your character. And so it tells me how you like to process information and take it in, but not what you're processing. So two people can look very similar to each other. One could be a saint, one could be a sinner. I don't make a judgment on your character at that point. I just know how to speak to you. Then when I'm talking to you, I get the other feedback from the body language and expressions. Now, in a social gathering or having a conversation like this, there's no reason for you to be lying. So I've turned the lie detection off. I'm not interested in looking at that side of it. I prefer to focus on having that great conversation with you. Same as if I go to a party, where people go, oh, what's he thinking? I'm just thinking, you love your outfit. I love the way that you're talking to people. I like your personality. And they go, we haven't even spoken yet. I go, yeah, but I can see it all over your face. And put them at ease as quickly as I possibly can.
I used to do that some time ago. I was, as you know, was in law enforcement for a number of years, and it was easy to tell when even a colleague was telling a little bit of a porky because the facial expression wasn't right. The eyes weren't, looking directly at you. They were looking to the side, or they were looking down, and they wouldn't look you in the eye. And the nose twitches. People's noses do twitch when they don't tell the truth. I don't care what anyone says. It's not a fairy tale. It's actually a true thing.
It is. The story of Pinocchio is correct to one degree, not the length of the nose, but the fact that the nose does twitch. See, the nose has the mucosa inside the nose is erectile tissue. And so when you're talking a lot, you'll agitate the skin because all the nerves are close to the surface. It has erectile tissue because the nose increases and closes in sides while you're breathing. You don't breathe through both nostrils at the same time. One shuts off, the other one, and so it spins the air and the impurities get caught in the hairs. There's a natural scientific reason for it. But anybody who's starting to get fearful about they've been caught out or whatever, there's more blood to the face. Those nerve endings get triggered, and so the nose starts to close off, and so it itches. So people, be doing this. You'll find that if I've been talking for a long period of time, articulating a lot and really using the muscles, I'll end up doing this. But the thing is, am I doing that while you're asking me questions and I'm answering, or do I do? You ask me a question, I answer it, and then it's the timing as well. You've got to look at all that to get that side of it right.
Yeah, it is. It is a science, reading faces. It's not just. I mean, some people find it easy to do. Others find it more difficult. But I think overall, it's. You're right. It's been inbred into us since dinosaur days. It's that fight or flight. If the look on someone's face to see if they're friend or foe.
That's it.
Alan, it's been a pleasure. Honestly, I think the the reading of faces is really great, and to get a lead in a business, your tip there was great, to keep that profile picture on, and whilst you're talking to them, because speaking on the phone, because you can't see their face, you can't see their expressions, you can at least gauge to what you need to be saying to them, or how you need to be speaking with them.
And even if you can't read them, it just means that you're able to feel more comfortable when you're reading them or talking to them as well.
Exactly. Alan, where can people find you if they'd like to know more, or they'd like to work with you and perhaps take your course?
Well, it's very easy to find me, and that's my name, which is Alan Stevens, AlanStevens.com.au. That'll take them straight to my website, and everything they need to know will be pretty much on that site.
Absolutely. Excellent. And Alan, have you got any last words of encouragement, or a tip, or some sort of tidbit that you'd like to share with us?
Well, a couple of things. Number one is, the most important thing you'll ever learn is the next thing you learn after you think you know everything. So keep an open mind, always learn, but also hold your own counsel. Even the stuff I've said today, go away and test it for yourself and make sure that it actually works for you. The other thing too is, when I'm working with people, the reason I'm able to focus on them, I know that what I do for myself will die with me, but what I do for others and for the community is and always will be eternal. So I'm focused on helping other people. If you want to build your business, the more you focus on other people, the more you'll be able to then grow your business to the point where you can step out and work on the business, and the people inside your business will be working in the business because they want to be, and your money will continue coming in when you're not there. But also, don't take any one little indicator you see as gospel. The movement of the eyes. Everybody will move their eyes to source information. The old saying that a salesman whose eyes are moving, you can't trust them. Well, if you're asking them complex questions, their eyes have to move around to source information. If they're saying to you, looking straight in the eye, no blinking, and they say, oh, that's a really interesting question, I've never had that before, and their eyes don't go anywhere, you know they're probably not telling the truth then.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, I hadn't thought of it in that way. But so thank you for sharing that, Alan. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us at Get the Lead podcast. We look forward to your company next time, where we help you get the lead.